They're not good, but also they had Ronda Rousey in the last game, and that made me
Yeah.
want to go directly ear first into a blender. And I won't say that about Megan Fox.
You first into a blender.
Yes,
That's just such a vivid image. Like, oh my god. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, Ethan, and joining me, as always, are my good friends Kyle
Hello.
and Hunter. How you doing?
oh, I'm doing just swell.
Long time no
Welcome
see.
back.
Yeah,
thank
welcome
Your
you.
war
back.
with the alligator people is over.
It is, and I don't know what's more shocking, to be honest, the fact that I showed up, or the fact that I didn't get COVID from the gator people. How did I go on a fucking 9-hour flight, go doing all that shit, and on another 9-hour flight back, and no COVID? Got everything else, but not COVID.
I got the COVID
impressive.
instead.
You got it instead.
Yeah, dude.
That's the rule. Only one person can have it at a time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a shitty rule.
Why did we lock ourselves up if only one person has it at a time? It's weird. But anyway, this podcast wouldn't exist without it. But it's weird. But no, it's good to be back. I guess it feels weird. Like I say, I've been off it now, so I might be a bit rusty. So hang on tight, guys. If the
Dude,
edit's
don't
weird,
worry.
it's
It only
my
took
fault.
me 3 weeks to figure it out.
Now you'll forget when the next time happens. It'll be great. Everything will be different. But no. Welcome on in, everybody. We've got a really jam-packed show this week. We've got a lot to talk about because there's been a lot of games recently. We have got Mortal Kombat 1 to talk about. Hunter has played it. He's got some impressions, I'm sure, that we'll dive into shortly. Kyle's played the Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways DLC because I couldn't be bothered. So thank you, Kyle, for also picking it up and saving that.
You're
So
welcome.
Kyle will talk all about that. Hunter's played Ak-Xolotl, an indie game that we're going to talk about. Review copy provided. Say that up front. There you go. You can't sue us now,
Yeah.
FTC. Why would it be the FTC? Would it be the FTC?
What?
Who would it be? Who would it be?
I don't remember who it is exactly. And
I've
I'm
got
not even
FTC
sure
on the
if
brain
it
'cause about
technically
Xbox.
applies if we don't make money, but I feel like saying thank you is just good manners.
We'll say it anyway. Thank
Correct.
you for the review copy. We appreciate it. Kyle's played Baldur's Gate 3, at least some of it. We'll talk about that as well. Hunter's played Gunbrella, and I've played nothing. We'll talk about that too. This is HGO
Whoa!
podcast. We're here every Monday at around 5 p.m. UK time, 12 p.m. Eastern on podcast services at youtube.com/hotgamers only, where you can look at our stupid faces every week. Bit of housekeeping for you. We are starting to get into review season. Starfield review will have to be up in the next week and a half, so make sure you're on the YouTube channel for that, because we're just gonna have to start cruising for that. I'm sure Hunter has a couple of reviews in the works.
The Ak-Xolotl review should be incoming this week as of when the people see this.
There you go.
Cool.
So
Good job.
look forward to that. It's coming up real soon, so we've got plenty of stuff. As we say, that's not even scratching the surface, because when you look at the planner, it's like we've obviously got Assassin's Creed Mirage, Spider-Man 2, Mario Wonder, Alan Wake 2, Mario RPG, Persona 5 Tactica. We've got too much stuff coming up. So make
the
sure
Diver.
Dave the Diver, we can't forget about
Truly
Dave.
the most important game.
Truly. We've got so much to cover, so make sure you subscribe on YouTube. We're trying to get 300 subs, so if you can get us ever closer, we'd really appreciate it. We're like 13 off now.
Dude,
So
I just want to say we got 4 subs while I was hosting, and
Wow.
that feels good to me. Feels good for me and my ego. We didn't lose any either, which is great.
Yay.
we didn't lose any. Just watch the number decline again. They're like, oh fuck, the Brit's back. Like, get going.
Damn, Kyle's back in the bottom box. We don't like
Negative
him down there.
Andy's back at it again. Like, oh. But yeah, so we've got a lot to cover. So make sure you subscribed on podcast and on YouTube. And as we get ever closer to 300, we do appreciate it. Thank you. Like I say, a lot of reviews coming up. I guess we'll start with some fun catch-up stuff, I guess, before we get into it. So I'll mention this. You made me turn my lights down, but now you can't fucking see it. So I'll turn the light back up quickly.
Get owned,
There you
idiot.
go. And you still can't really see it that well. Let's do Da, 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 da. I got the Spider-Man PS5 plates and the controller staying in the box because if you're new here on the podcast, I bought a reserve controller back like last year just in case. I then got an extra PS5, so that's another controller. I've got 3 backup controllers now. There's a queue. This one can stay in the box. There's way too many. I have a problem. I don't know what to do
3
with them all.
backups and 2 PlayStation 5s.
3, yeah, because I fixed it. I fixed my
I got
PS5.
like 3 backup controllers now too,
Yeah.
because there's the 2 that I got when I got my PlayStation, just the 2
Mhm.
white ones. I bought a red one because I hate the color white, and then my brother bought me the fancy controller earlier this year.
You've got, yeah. I've got 2 because I've got my launch one, which my dad uses. I've got my purple one, then I've got the white one from my PS5 version 2. I've got my other black one that I got for Black Friday with Horizon Forbidden West, both totaling £40, which was steal. And then I've got this one, which will not be thrown towards a
I
radiator
have-
and die like the Spider-Man PS4 one.
I have this one that came with the PS5, and that's all.
Well,
She's
lucky
done me
you.
good for almost a year.
You're smart,
Good job.
unlike me. I now have 2 PlayStations. I fixed my PlayStation, by the way. That saga's over. I took it apart 3 times to get it to fix itself and install a new laser. 3rd time was the charm, guys.
I
I'm
can't
surprised I
wait
didn't
for it
break
to
it.
beep still, because that was the update that killed it. Was the startup beeping?
I purposely installed that update without the disc in the drive again. I was like, we're not doing it
Oh my
again.
god.
I don't trust it now, but it is fixed, so that's cool. That's also why I'm wearing the Spider-Gwen hoodie, was because I was like, hey, look, it's all the spider things. This was
Oh,
also the only
spider
Spider-Man
things.
merch that I could find at Disney. So,
Really?
yeah, the Miles Morales one was not very good.
Oh,
And I was like,
sad.
it's fine. Gwen Stacy's my favorite Spider-Man character anyway. That's a long story. Maybe that's one for another day anyway. But she was like one of the reason my favorite 2 characters are Spider-Man and Miles and Gwen, and the only reason they are is because they're the only 2 characters that I've ever seen in a comic book and gone, they look really cool. Every other comic book character I'm just like, that's nerdy as shit, but I don't know why. It's the white and pink, and Miles is just Miles, so he just gets
Yeah.
instant like swag points, doesn't he, instantly? So I was like, yeah. But so this is what I purchased, and I had to walk up to the guy at Disney and just act very like, yeah, what's up, guy? How's it going? Just ignore me. I can do this. But yeah. But yeah, it's that's it. Like, that's my gaming for today. Fixing my PS5 is my gaming this week. I'm gonna leave the light brighter. I look better like this. I'm sorry, Carl. You're just gonna have to put sunglasses on. But yeah, I just haven't had time for games. When we were talking last, which was 2 weeks ago, was it?
That would have
Like,
been
the
one you
Starfield
last game on the
episode?
show, yeah.
That's all I've played of Starfield. I've played like another 5 hours, if that, because I just haven't had time to play it. Like, so that's it. Like, the reason the Starfield review isn't out is because I genuinely have not played any of it since, and all I've done is side quests since then. So it's like, ugh, I need to get on it this week. I'll report back next week. Hopefully, I'll have it done. We'll see. I'm not so enthusiastic about having it done, but we'll see. Anyway, I've rambled enough. That's literally all you're going to hear from me this week, because the rest of the stuff has got nothing to do with me, so I'll pass it over Hunter. You promised that you'd play this game, Hunter, Mortal Kombat 1.
I sure did. Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal 1 Kombat. I have picked it up.
Not on the Switch.
And
Bit of a shame,
no. Well, you
could have played
see,
the funny version, Hunter.
because I have the general intelligence to know that if it's a multi-plat game, the Switch version isn't going to be the one I want under most circumstances.
Yeah, but Hunter, the Switch 2 can play The Matrix Reloaded in 4K 60 bajillion FPS and Breath of the Wild again. You gotta have faith, Hunter. You
Matrix
gotta have faith.
Reloaded. Good job, Switch 2. You can run a PS2 game, respectively.
Oh no, what? It's Reawakens, isn't it? That's the PS5 tech demo. Whatever the PS5 tech demo
that
is.
thing.
Yeah, that thing.
Oh,
You know what I
but
mean. Anyway.
I am
Yeah, the Switch
pleased to
version's
report
ass.
that despite the lack of enthusiasm on my part with the previous 2 games, I actually quite like this one.
Nice.
Damn. Pack it
Yeah.
up, guys.
Glad to
Time to
hear.
go home. Damn it. I thought we could get the negative clickbait out. Damn it.
No, I actually rather enjoyed this one. They made some changes that are solid. There are still some things that are lingering that I would have changed. But I guess I'll start with one of the things that they changed from the previous two that they were really hung up on gameplay wise was they had this thing where it was like, ah, yes, play these variations of the characters where each character had like three little subclasses, and it was real stupid because it was just like, why couldn't you just? It would be too hard to work all of this into a single move set. Now you're just reallocating moves that you can do to arbitrary spots. And I don't know, other people seem to really enjoy it. They're like, oh, it's 3 times the move sets to work with. And I'm like, no, it's more like you cut a 16 slice pizza into 32. They got rid of that, and that pleases me. I think this game plays faster than 11 did. 11 was especially sluggish, and I didn't care for very much of the hands on the controller for that one. Um, a lot of the character designs are pretty solid. Some are hit and miss. Like the entire time I was looking at the ninjas in the trailers that I saw, I was like, something off about you. When I've actually played the game, I finally realized it's the masks. The masks are the problem. They're shiny and they look stupid.
Only the best critique here. Only the best critique. The masks are shiny and stupid.
They're supposed to be ninjas. Why would you wear a shiny mask?
I don't know.
But thankfully that's alleviated because they also have like they have a cosmetic system thing that was also present in 11 and really bloated. They've pared it down this time. Now you pretty much just, every character has like one thing that you choose to change up about them. Like if you can change Kenshi's sword, or you can change Sub-Zero and Scorpion's masks, or Melina's size, as opposed to like getting into the granular, oh, let's change everyone's shoulder pads and stuff in the
Her
previous games.
size?
Like the ninja number.
Oh, size.
Sides.
S-A-I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. Not S-I-Z-E.
No.
No.
I'm like, you can make her small.
That'd be funny.
Now no one can hit her.
That would be funny. But yeah, I guess the gameplay thing that they were really honing in on during all the promotional material was the cameo system, which is like your little assist button, which in the hands of better players than I'm sure is like lovely. But for me,
It
it's
looks
just
super neat.
Yeah, I've watched people chain combos and stuff, and Serena especially seems to be really overpowered. She's the little demon lady. She's got a little knife throw that'll hit people and then come back, hit them on the backswing too.
It's
That seems to
her and Stryker were the two that I was seeing a lot at a tournament this weekend.
Gross. Striker is like the worst. Like
As a
conceptually,
character, yeah.
Conceptually, I hate him. Who wants to play as a regular cop in this game, or any of these games? I would say, but yeah. As far as my own application for it, it's a nice little thing to just, push a button. It seems like each direction has a different move that they'll do when you do it. They get their own fatalities and stuff too, which is nice because those are pretty brief and usually little callbacks. Like that's how you see Scorpion's toasty and the Sub-Zero spine rip and stuff. The fatalities in general, I think, were better in this game because they decided to finally go back to sticking to one idea, and they would be over relatively, like I wouldn't age 3 times while watching one. And that was an issue in the previous games where it's like, it felt like I was there for like 5 minutes watching them do 3 different moves. And I'm like, for being a game that's geared towards adults, the level of violence you're displaying is rather juvenile. But they've gotten back to just cool ideas this time. Like there was one, Shao Kahn's got one where it'll like jump up in the air and it'll basically just spin you so fast your skin rips off from the G-force. It's back to being cool and creative this time instead of just gratuitous and stupid.
An ordeal.
Yeah.
How's the single player?
Yeah, I guess one of the main questions is how's the single player?
Is there a single player?
There is. There's a story mode, and I've heard mixed things about it. How are you feeling on it as a whole?
This is the best one of these dedicated story modes they have done.
Okay.
All right.
Without a doubt. 9 was something approaching acceptable up until they biffed it in the last 45 minutes. And man, did they biff it tremendously in that game. But 10, was real bad because they were working off the bones of the aftermath of 9, and also a lot of it just didn't make sense. And 11 was centered around stupid time travel nonsense for the whole time, and their main villain was stupid. um, this game, this game has a lot of my favorite portrayals of the characters now. Like, I think I like Liu Kang quite a bit in this game, and before he's just been the main character that I don't really care for.
Mm.
Raiden's a regular guy now, and I think that suits him a little better. I like his dynamic with Kung Lao. Kenshi's pretty cool in this one. It's the best design he's ever had. Might be a little biased because now he dresses like me, but hey. um, and they give shine to like a bunch of characters that previously were like just the punching bags, like Baraka and Reptile both got like actual levels of attention and were something beyond just, oh, we're the bad guys' minions. I'm like, oh, this is great. I always wish they would do more with you. And just the general setups for a lot of the characters, like now Sub-Zero and Scorpion are brothers, which, because I didn't look into anything beyond that, left me wondering. Traditionally, Sub-Zero was actually two people, which were siblings after the one died in between games. His younger brother became Sub-Zero after that, which left me wondering what the deal was going to be with the guy who's, Hanzo is what Scorpion's real name was. And I was like, wonder what's going on with him, or if one of the other Sub-Zero brothers are being omitted. It was Hanzo that got omitted. Now it's the typical, the two people that were Sub-Zero, one's now Sub-Zero and one's Scorpion. It's a decent enough little dynamic between them. Katana and Melina are actually sisters this time, which is cool because usually Melina's like a clone with Baraka syndrome. But this time they're actually sisters, and that Baraka thing is like a little sickness that Melina's fighting off. It's a nice little change of pace for a lot of these characters, and it's led to most of them being like my favorite iterations now.
I guess one thing in terms of performances, there's the elephant in the room, I guess, on this game that's had the whole internet going off on a little tantrum. They love these debates. These should celebrities be in video games?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
How bad is Megan Fox? Because everything I've seen from her, no offense, has been pretty fucking bad.
So she gets like 5 lines in the story mode, and
Yeah.
Wow.
They're not good though. Like, let's be real.
Well,
here.
no,
They're
The
not
most
good.
expensive 5 lines you'll ever pay for.
they're not good, but also like they had Ronda Rousey in the last game, and that made me
Yeah.
want to go directly ear first into a blender. And I
Yeah.
won't say that about Megan Fox. It's just like not very good.
Burst into a blender.
Yes.
That's just such a vivid image. Like, oh my god.
Ronda Rousey should never be allowed near a microphone ever. Her acting in that was bad. The worst part was she was acting opposite. The Cassie Cage, Sonya Blade's daughter, was voiced by Erica Lindbeck. So it was the most ridiculous, like, high and low in the same scene.
Definition
you'd ever
of
get.
voice acting whiplash, dude. Like, fucking yeah. Oh,
But yeah, so like
jeez.
you won't even hear Megan Fox out of a couple of times unless you're playing like and they don't have the banter things unless you're like in the versus mode for some reason. So like even if you're doing an arcade mode, you only get like the little intro animations. No one talks.
Yeah.
So you barely hear her in the story mode, and yeah, it's not good, but also it's not the worst they've ever had.
And I also think it's funny because it's like, obviously there's those couple of lines, but it's like there's a completely different voice actor that's doing all the grunts and all the
yeah.
other
Christina
moves.
V's
Christina V.
doing the grunts, which if they bring Natara back, because I don't think that they typically don't repeat celebrity performances with this stuff. So if they bring Natara back, it'll probably be Christina V, which is a cool notion, because like I think Natara's design is cool. I think the general idea of the vampire lady is a cool notion. That it's actually hilarious that it took them until now to bring her back, because in Deadly Alliance her little subplot set into motion the plot of like the following 2 games after that. She was retrospectively rather important, so it's funny that they just ignored her for the entire next continuity. But as far as like performances and stuff aside from her, they're all really well done. Like the three ninjas alone are Kaiji Tang is Sub-Zero, Yuri Lowenthal plays Smoke,
Smoke.
and
Yeah.
then Daisuke Ghost of Tsushima, I can't remember his last name, is Scorpion. So
That is
uh,
his name.
just
They loved him
right
that
there.
much. They named the game after him. That's yeah.
So right there is pretty great, and then like some of the actors from the previous game return. Kari Walgren, the one for Melina and Katana, does a really good job because she portrays like them and like a couple of other people. She does a really good job at making them all sound different from each other. So the guy they got doing Shang Tsung chews the scenery immaculately. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, the story mode was an enjoyable experience. It does get a little stupid towards the end, but
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
And some people can vibe with it, and some people can't.
I feel like it's a good kind of stupid for what they were doing. Like it's definitely the better stupid than what they've previously done. But yeah, overall, this is fun. I beat the story mode, and now I've been working through some of the just getting the arcade endings because I don't know, I'm still enjoying playing the game, so I'm gonna keep doing it for a little while.
No, fair enough. Have
Theoretically,
you touched any of the online at all?
For the sake of speaking about it, I clicked on it a couple of times last night.
How are you
Got a
finding
win,
it?
and then it sure does function the way I expect online
Does
stuff
it have
to function.
rollback?
I don't know.
I don't even know. I don't even know.
I'd imagine it does.
All I
I
know is
suspect
it's
it
not
would.
cross-platform. That's all I know is it's not
Mhm.
cross-platform.
Oh,
You're
really?
stuck with who you're stuck with. So there's been a bit of controversy surrounding that, and I kind of agree. I feel like if small indie multiplayer games are having cross-platform play, why the hell is NetherRealm not doing it with their $60 bajillion video game? Like, if you're gonna pay someone to suffer and animate those fatalities, can you not make a engineer suffer and code some cross progression and crossplay?
Also, Street Fighter 6 launched with crossplay, so
I think most fighters are launching with crossplay these days, so it's like
either that or it's getting patched in later, like
Yeah.
Guilty Gear did.
Yeah,
I feel like you should have it at this point.
maybe they're
Unless
just
they just
being
couldn't get it working, but
they're just being silly potentially because also they released a $70 Switch version. So
I mean, yeah.
It does have rollback though, so you're good with
Yeah,
that. So you
it
have
does.
rollback. You just don't have crossplay, and if you're on Nintendo Switch, you don't have a good video game either. So there's some drawbacks.
like for the couple of matches I played, the connection was stable the whole time and functioned. I didn't feel like when I was losing, it was simply because they all knew how to combo you into oblivion, and not because of anything like a stuttery input hoopla.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because Mortal Kombat is like obviously a huge thing, right? I'm not going to deny that. But it is one of those kind of franchises where I feel like you're either in or you're out, where it's like Street Fighter. People wouldn't shut the fuck up on my timeline about Street Fighter 6. I don't care. I don't know where they came from. They all crawled out of the fucking woodwork and like it was
On
massive
your
Twitter.
timeline?
Yeah, just people would show up. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I've not seen anything on Mortal Kombat at all. And I was like, okay. I'm interested to see how this goes because, Mortal Kombat always has a bit of a hit. I mean, most fighting games have a bit of a hit and miss track record, right? But I feel like Mortal Kombat definitely does have that hit or miss track record. So I'm glad to hear that there is at least some good fun to be had. Is there anything that we missed that you wanted to cover?
They've got like a little adventure mode thing for after you beat the story if you don't want to do just the arcade tower. It's called Invasions. Which I guess is tied to their goofy little seasonal thing that they're doing too, because on top of like the online and stuff, they've got a little store for cosmetics and whatnot where you get like silver coins on top of your golden coins, and then you can do the real money stuff if you want. But I didn't really look into it too far, except I saw I'm like, oh, I have 4,000 of this seasonal currency. Let's see if anyone's got cool alternate costumes I could buy.
Kudos.
And then I did get a pretty cool one for Scorpion, so there we go.
Hey, fair enough. and obviously it does have its audience. I was just looking because it's like I feel like we've had a load of shadow drops this over the past couple of weeks, where it's like there's a load of games that have come out which could seemingly be big, but have kind of made a smaller impact. Because I was thinking, because Payday 3 came out this week, and I'm like, Payday 2 was a pretty decent game, pretty big game in the PC community, and I'm looking at it on Twitch, and I'm like, not only is Mortal Kombat higher than it, not only is Overwatch higher than it, oof, but not only is the Resident Evil 4 DLC higher than it, which is another big oof, Party Animals, that was that game, that, is higher than it as well.
Oh.
So it's just like, it just feels weird to me though. Like, there's a load of games that have come out recently that just kind of feel like they've made a bit of a smaller drop. So, hey, fair play. Biggest win, Party Animals. 15,000 viewers as of recording on Twitch.
Good job.
And they're not all on one stream. Hell yeah. Good job, guys. Good job.
Good work.
God, Liza P. Liza P also came out. I didn't have time to play it. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I've heard it's great though.
Not the same
I've heard
day
that
as
it's surprisingly
this
very,
good.
very good. Which I did play the demo like a couple of months ago, and I was like, it's pretty good. So I'm not shocked in the slightest. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Hunter, would you recommend Mortal Kombat 2? Well, Mortal Kombat 1, not Mortal Kombat 2. Mortal Kombat 1.
Mortal Kombat 2.
Everybody else.
We're not
Yeah, I was
there
gonna say
yet,
to everybody else.
The
but
first
then I
one
was like,
just came out.
yeah, I
It'll
was
probably
like,
be
wait.
called 13 next time anyway, because they can never make up their minds.
Mortal Kombat 1, 2.
Yeah. That's why I've been calling it Mortal 1 Kombat, because that's how it's situated on the box.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd recommend picking it up if you like fighting games, even if you didn't like. I didn't like the last two of these, and I've been enjoying this quite a bit. So, if you're interested in it because hey, they've got new people and it's like a fresh start or whatever, and even weren't into the last couple, I'd say pick it up. If you think it's entry point, pick it up. And if you already like Mortal Kombat, you probably already picked it up.
It is, like I said, it's a very weird time for it to be coming out. Because, Mortal Kombat, big deal. A lot of times it's like, oh, yeah, Warner Brothers finally cries a sigh of relief because it's the one video game that they know will do well when they release it. It's like, oh, thank God, we've got something. Yeah. We've got Mortal Kombat. And it's coming out, and it's like, it's so busy. Like, we've just had Starfield. We're getting into Assassin's Creed. We're getting into Spider-Man.
It is busy, but also I feel like it found a decent enough pocket because it is.
Yeah, there's no other fighting games.
It is a normie game to some extent too.
It very much is a normie game. I understand. It's not even. I wouldn't even. The way I describe it is for most fighting game. If you're like a proper fighting game fan, you probably have another fighting game you care about more. Because I've like every person that I talk to who's a fighting game fan is like, I really like Tekken, or I really like Street Fighter, or Blaze Blue, or all the other weird ones, Guilty Gear. There you go. All the little weird ones that kind of like. I'm just making fun of Arc System. Apparently, I don't know why. But they're great. But you know what I mean. It's like for the most part, it's like a very much more casual-ish audience that loves Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And it's also huge competitively as well, obviously. But
yeah.
I don't know. I'm just going to move on because I feel like I'm just digging myself into a hole. I feel like someone's going to fatality me at this rate if I carry on.
I mean, for me, like, Mortal Kombat, like, the vibe of it just doesn't appeal to me, so I usually just stay away from it.
I fucking hate it. Like, I don't like the vibe of Mortal Kombat. I respect the history and what it's done for the genre. And video
not
games as a whole.
Though.
It's just not for me, yeah. It's just... As soon as it went to like properly realistic graphics, that's when I'm like, it's gone.
Yeah,
like, I don't like it.
Dude, I played a little bit of 10 and 11 to refresh my impressions on those, and I just remembered, like, for some reason, 10 decided, this is the one where we're gonna be like, you would have expected 9, the one on the PS3, to be the one that's desaturated and devoid of color. No, that was the one with 10, and I'm like, oh my god, I forgot how lame this all looked.
10, I specifically remember 10. That's like the one that will be ingrained into my mind of just.
Oh, you probably saw the trailer where Scorpion like cuts off their face and the brain comes out.
Just everything, like the box art, everything about that game was just so
gross,
boring. Like, yeah, just it was just
I was
so
playing,
that era of video games.
I was playing the arcade as Ermac, and there was like a stage where it was like storming and whatnot. And because of the way the game is lit, Ermac's the red ninja.
Oh, thank
Because of the
you.
way the game was lit, it looked like he was the noob, the black ninja. Just because you could barely tell there was red on him. I'm like, what is going on here? I'm glad that the visual style of this one decided. Well, 11 had color too, but I feel like they nailed down on making it
Yeah.
look a little better in this one. The environments are great in this game.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Anyway, let's move on because we've still got way too much to talk about, I guess. So, from one type of gore to another type of gore, Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways came out. I've seen a lovely couple of gruesome death scenes in this one, so that's fun. The DLC is out, Kyle. I went to Hunter straight away. In my brain, I'm just like, Resident Evil equals Hunter. Take it away. No, Kyle, you've played it for us. It came out of nowhere. It was announced a week and a half ago, and it's here. So, how are you feeling? It's about 4 hours, right? It's a small little, it's a little extra bit of
It's
DLC.
It's a nice little bite-sized little story adventure. I
While
enjoyed
we
my
wait for
time
what's
with it.
next. Yeah.
It was like 4.5 hours, 7
Which
chapters.
I think is what everyone was expecting. I don't think
Yeah.
anyone was expecting a huge
I wasn't
like
expecting
expansion
it to
to
be
it.
like
Nah.
half the other game or anything like that. No.
Yeah.
Especially
'Cause
when you
this-
think that they've also worked on Mercenaries and converting it into a VR mode, and then are
Yeah.
probably working on Resident Evil 9 and or trying to figure out how to make good Resident Evil 5. You know, they've got a lot on their
Still
plate.
flipping a coin to see if it's Code Veronica or Resident Evil 5 next.
After seeing all this Wesker stuff, I'm like, I feel like they love Wesker that much that I'm like, they're gonna. I feel like they're gonna go to 5, and Code Veronica fans are gonna cry.
Wesker's in Code Veronica.
I know
Oh,
he is, but I
bless.
feel like they're just like, we just want to see Chris Puncher Baldur and Wesker be like go crazy. We just want that, Hunter. We just want it. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Separate Ways, which is
We're here to
Ada's
talk
story
about something that actually exists
for now.
for now.
You know what Capcom's like, dude? We're like, knowing that we're 18 months away from another 3 Resident Evil games because they just crank them out and then they're still good. So yeah,
Thank you, RE Engine.
it's definitely the engine and not the people that make it. Yeah, definitely. So anyway, Separate Ways, 4 hours, stars Ada. How did you think? How are you feeling?
Well, I'm done with it. I really enjoyed it. It was just a lot of fun going back to Resident Evil 4. It was kind of annoying. The game drops you out right. Like the first thing you do in that game is fight a boss
Oh,
as
cool.
your first bit of gameplay. So I'm like, all right, learning in a dangerous environment. What's the shoot button? What's the ready my gun button? How do I knife?
Well, I mean, to be fair, if you're like me when I played Resident Evil 4 earlier this year for the first time, because everyone's like, oh, these games, they're survival horror, you don't get much ammo. So it was like, for me, it's kind of similar situation. I didn't fire my gun until I was at the village and being chased by everybody and shitting myself. So it was like, it's like the death by fire. Just chuck you in, see what happens. What could possibly go wrong?
Right. But no, once I was back in actually playing the game, it was a lot of fun. It was just a lot of fun being back to playing Resident Evil 4. Because I mean, the game only came out earlier this year, but I'm like, I forgot just how fun the game was. Resident Evil's good.
It's a fun game. That's why honestly, like about a month and a half ago before I left, that's the last thing I did was I went and replatinumed it, which required me playing through the game another 5 or 6 times, and that's why I'm not playing the DLC. Not because I don't like Resident Evil 4, I bought it straight away, but it was like, I have literally just played another 40 hours of this game.
Still burned out.
I'm so burnt out, especially because the DLC trophies require you to do at least another 3 playthroughs of just Separate Ways. And I'm like, yeah, when you're speedrunning and skipping cutscenes, it's probably only like 90 minutes, but it's still like 4.5 to 6 hours of playing this still. And I'm like, I can wait. It'll be fun. But I guess my main question is how does it differ to the main story? Is it like, because does Ada play differently? Does she have some
Um,
different movesets that are different to Leon? Does she have different what's going on here? Different weapons? What's
for
happening?
for the most part, she's pretty similar to Leon. She starts with a pistol and a submachine gun,
Okay,
but then you can go ahead and just you can purchase the usuals. You got your sniper. Um, there's a rocket launcher you can buy at one point, and
of course.
there's a crossbow you can just find in a level. I never
Cool.
messed around with that.
Well, if it's anything
I,
like the crossbow in the base game, it wasn't really worth your time.
there was a crossbow in the base game.
I don't even
Yeah,
remember
and
I
crossbows. I'm
forgot
sorry.
about that.
I got excited because I'm like, oh man, maybe they saw the Mikami's other work in The Evil Within, and we're like, oh, the crossbow was sweet in that game, and then it was not as good in this one. The arrows had zero sauce behind the hits,
uh,
and yeah,
well, they give you exploding arrows in this, so maybe that's better.
those were also a present.
Oh, I didn't even realize there was a crossbow in base
Don't worry,
game.
I platinumed the game and got every weapon in it, and still don't remember having the crossbow at any point either. So that
Uh,
is one of the requirements, is to have every weapon. So over
Technically
my
speaking,
head.
I think it calls it something like the bolt thrower. So
Oh, that
ah,
fucking awful thing. Yeah,
I-
that shit stinks.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it's
But
bad.
no, I mean, Ada, she does play similar to how Leon played, but she also has a grappling gun with her that so you can use that to like close the gap between enemies. And
Oh,
at
cool.
one point, you can unlock a move that lets her grapple shields away from enemies, which is really neat.
Oh,
Oh, cool.
that's cool.
That's good,
She
because
can.
shield enemies was some of my least favorite parts of Resident Evil 4.
They really do just mess up the feng shui of kneecap somebody, kick him in the face.
Yeah,
Especially when you
It
get to
throws
the
a wrench
island at
into
the
that
end.
plan.
Especially because when you're in the castle and stuff, the shields are made of wood, so you can at least go,
Yeah,
okay,
at least
shoot the wood off
let's
of
just
the
get the
shield,
shotgun.
hit them in the knee. Yeah.
Aye.
Whereas when you get to the island, then they have metal shields, and you're just like, oh, this fucking sucks. Now I've got to like try and fancy
Now
aim
there's a
it, try and
process.
yeah.
Now I
Just
gotta
like
stick and move. This is silly.
Now I gotta think.
yeah. We don't like thinking,
True.
but
She
yeah.
also got some cool flippy kicks for her melee stuff, which is just fun to watch. I
Yeah.
love me a good flippy kick.
How's the story? Obviously, you've got returning favorites, I guess. Like say you got Ada, you've got Luis is in it at some point.
Luis is in it.
We have got
He's the first thing you see in the game.
oh,
He's
thank
just
God for
dancing in a
that.
prison cell. It's great.
Thank God for that.
Amazing.
I
And then
love this guy.
you've obviously got Wesker as well, who
Mhm.
is a presence, which
Yeah,
I don't know.
they're,
I
they're
did not
doing a
like.
lot of foreshadowing for Wesker for whatever's next,
Well, they
which
kind of
is
have
getting
to,
me
since
excited.
most people, like a lot of people, have come into
Yeah,
this with
with Resi
Resident Evil
2.
2 now, and Wesker wasn't in that one. He was in the
Right.
one before that, which it
And he
had a
wasn't
remake, but it wasn't the kind of remake they've been doing.
and he wasn't in 3 either, correct?
No, he wasn't.
Okay. I played 3 once and beat it in like a day. It was
Well, he
really
might have-
short.
Which
he might have got
which is
like a
about the
passing
length of this
reference.
DLC, to be fair. So it's
Yeah.
like, like you could beat both. Like that'd be a fun challenge. Which one can you finish first? The DLC separate ways, or the entirety of the Resident Evil 3 remake? Let's find out.
We put them side by side.
Yeah, comparison. But it's weird, right? Because obviously Separate Ways was in the PS2 version and the future releases of Resident Evil 4. It's obviously something that we were expecting.
Yeah.
But like you say, with its like focus on Wesker, the little bits that I have seen, they have changed some things up. There's the return of some, and
Yeah,
there's a boss that
like,
was supposed to be in base game, but is now in Separate Ways. So they brought a boss that people were
From
missing.
what I
through.
understand, reading some tweets from people who are, familiar with Resident Evil 4 and how it was originally, most of what was missing from the base game has been retooled to work in this. As far as I understand. So,
Yeah,
like,
or they've changed the way things go about. Like they've removed fights and stuff because they're like, okay, and what like for our version of retelling it, Ada doesn't make sense for Ada to be there.
yeah.
So we'll swap some stuff around. But like I say, for the most part, it feels like they knew that they were doing this going in. Whereas like from Separate Ways' perspective, it was like it's a cool little thing we'll chuck on so that people buy the game again because that we want people to buy Resident Evil 4 again. As if people need another reason to buy Resident Evil 4 or to buy it for the first time on PS2, right? But they were like, we need something to put on the back of the box. Whereas this time, I feel like when they were making the main scenario, they were like, okay, so we can't figure out where to fit this stuff in. We can move it into Separate Ways. We can sort some stuff out. Which I think is a smart move, to be honest.
Yeah.
I also think it's a smart move to do DLC for this game because obviously, why would you not do Resident Evil 4 DLC? But yeah, I don't know. What you got anything else to say about it, Kyle? I don't know. It's a weird one. Like I say, it's like a 4-hour expansion. You know what Resident Evil 4 Remake is if you've played it.
It's really hard to talk about, especially for you two who, I mean, Hunter hasn't played this Separate Ways, and Ethan hasn't played it either. But
it's on the list.
I mean, it was a good time. I'm always glad to play more Resi 4, and there was a really cool post-credit scene that got a big smile out of me because I knew what it was.
Oh man!
And it just made me chuckle.
I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. As someone who has not played all the other Resident Evil games, but like, I don't know why. It's like we've had this discussion before about Dark Souls. How I've always said that I don't know much about Dark Souls. The game that I know the most about is Dark Souls 2, which is to most people is mind blowing because it's the fucking worst one. But I've seen my friends suffer through Dark Souls 2 and no other game, so I just love that game, and I think there's so much stupid shit about it. And the same kind of goes for Resi 5, where it's like, that's the game I know the most about in terms of Resident Evil, because of all the shit posts of like Chris punching a boulder or fucking Wesker or stuff like that. It's like, all that kind of stuff is like implanted into my mind, even though I've never played that video game. So it's like, I'll be perfectly happy if they do Code Veronica next, but there's a small part of me that's like, I need to see Chris punch a boulder in like 4K. I need that. I need that. Please. I don't care how long it takes. I will wait, and I will be there day one.
I mean, yeah, I'll pick up whatever Resident Evil game comes out next, but there's
probably
a part
9.
Of me...
You hope it's at least 9. I'm praying it's 9.
There's a part of me that really does hope that it is Resi 5 as the next remake, because I just want to see how the modern Resident Evil team handles that game.
Hopefully by splitting it into 2 scenarios.
Hopefully.
It's weird.
If they have,
that seems like the easy answer.
If mandatory co-op is a thing that exists in the remade Resident Evil 5, I feel
Hunter, I'll play it with you.
Yeah, but I feel like that's a gross miscalculation of why the rest of what you've been doing has been working.
Yeah,
that's why it gets more interesting from this point onwards, because obviously 4, beloved, the best in the franchise for a lot of people. Now, when they're looking at remakes, they have Code Veronica, but like, Code Veronica 5, 6, these are kind of games now where it's like, Veronica, they could do a very good job of. They can freshen it up, make it look good. But for 5 and 6 in particular, there's some work that has to be done with those ones. Like, those are going to have to be very much different video games, and I hope that they go that way.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Because, I mean, 5 came out, like, at the peak of bro shooter games popularity.
Good old 2009.
Yeah.
And then 3 came out right at the end of the generation, where it was like, 6 came out when it was like right at the end of the generation. It's like, I don't know what the fuck 6 was. I don't know what they were trying. They tried something.
They tried a lot of things. It was messy. Game had
I
4 campaigns.
Oh no.
A remake of 6 would be so interesting, because it's like you'd have to just take concepts at that point to go, right, how do we make this work?
Yeah, because like it'd be the opposite situation where I say 5 should split the scenarios, give 1 to Chris and 1 for Sheva, because that'd be better. 6 has arguably too many.
Consolidate, yeah.
So maybe interweave it, make Chris and Leon the 2 playable characters.
Which I think you'd have to. I feel like you'd have to, especially because it's like,
one of 6's fourth scenario is Ada, so like you can merge that with Leon's pretty easily. I suspect, because
it's so weird to me, right? Because it's like, especially now that we've had 2 and 4, and it's like, especially because it seems like the most popular of the remakes has been 2 and 4, obviously. You've got like this kind of fan base, and not to say that Leon wasn't already like one of the most popular Resident Evil characters, if not the most popular, but with the remakes, that's kind of doubled that down now, where you do have a group of Resident Evil fans who have solely played the remakes and they really like Leon, and then it's like, what have you got to look forward to? Well, you've got like a 6th of 6 to look forward to, like a 4th of 6 to look forward to, and then would you like to watch some animated movie? It's like, it's like we've not like unless 9 or some future actual Resident Evil has plans for Leon, it's like I feel like they should. It's a very weird place now, and I'm just like, hey, if that means that 6 has to be focused more on Leon and streamlining, perfectly fine.
If they
with that.
retooled 6 like completely, like, because for being like this hoorah thing, fan service for the franchise, absent from 6 was also Jill wasn't there at all. Claire wasn't there at all. There were like some glaring omissions of people who you think they would have put in the game when they were going all full fan service with it.
And it's weird because they've not gone that way ever again either. So it's like 7 and 8 are very much separate entities. So it's like I feel like the problem with Resident Evil is it has too many characters, and it particularly has too many good characters that people like. So then you end up having these long waits where it's like, unless you're a massive fan, like I say, you're watching the movies that keep coming out on like Netflix or Blu-ray, and you're like, okay, gotta find whatever this is. And it's like,
Dude, people seemed to really like Death Island for some reason.
My dad was watching it on the plane. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like I know
I haven't seen it yet. I watched the first 2 of those CG movies, Regeneration or whatever. I don't remember what it was. The one that came out before 5, it had like a little preview for 5 in its little extras tab. And then I watched the one after that because both of those had Leon, and I like Leon. But I kind of lost track of them after those 2.
It's just bizarre. Like I say, the whole thing with Resident Evil is bizarre. Like, we have no clue what 9's setting up. 9's going to be a very interesting video game. Because I feel like everybody kind of had, I don't want to say we had an inkling, but it's like we had a feeling like after seeing 7 and obviously with the way the story went and stuff like that, in my head I was like, I feel like I always thought that 8 would be a continuation in some way, shape or form. But now I'm like, yeah, it'll still like I was like, that was the end of the Ethan Winters story. So I'm like, who fucking knows what's happening in 9? So it's like, it's kind of weird to be like, who knows? It could be a game about an old character. They could fuck them all off again and do something completely new. Who knows what Resident Evil 9 is going to be?
Give Claire another game. She deserves it.
She deserves it.
If you're not gonna remake Code Veronica, just give Resi 9 to Claire.
Yeah.
Maybe do another multiple character one.
Yeah. Could do that too.
Who knows? Anyway, assume you recommend it, Kyle, because it's more Resi 4. Hell yeah,
it's more Resi 4.
Pick it up, guys. It's only like $10. Why not? What a deal!
Yeah,
$10 for 4 hours of a good video game sounds good to me.
It's not bad. Especially since we said is pretty much comparable to the runtime of the remake of 3. That was charged full price.
Yeah. When you think about base Resident Evil 4 is like what, 18 hours? So it's like
something like that.
For $70, if you think about it, 4 hours for 10, that's a steal. Like you're getting like a quarter you're getting a quarter of the game for like a 6th of the price. That's a good deal. Like take it up. Yeah. Why not? You get Wesker, what can I say? Moving on. Let's talk about Ak-Xolotl. Let's do it.
Yay.
So we've been talking about this game quite a bit in the lead up to its release because of just how goofy a premise it is and how it was very much up Hunter's alley. Review copy, as we said, provided by the fine folks over at
PlayStack and Too Awesome Studio.
Thank you for the review copy. There will be an actual review coming up, but we do appreciate it, as always. So yeah, Hunter, tell us, what is Ak-Xolotl?
All right, it's a top-down like shoot 'em up game where you take control of an angry Ak-Xolotl who had their food and the rest of their family stolen, but they're much more concerned about the food. Yeah,
same TBH.
You can keep the kids. I just want my fucking food back. Like,
Pretty much. And it uses a roguelike structure to send you through this, you know, dungeon crawling little shoot 'em up experience here. Uh,
Mhm.
it was really funny the first night I was playing this. Like, I would not say that this game is overwhelmingly difficult, and the first boss I would not say is very hard at all, but for some reason, and I recognized this even that night, I was like, this isn't even that hard. Megara was harder. Why can't I beat this guy? Like my brother and I were like passing the controller back and forth, and it took us like 7 tries to beat the first boss, and we're both sitting. It took us a while to even get there. I'm just sitting here like, what's the deal? I feel like this is I'm making this harder than it is somehow, but th- uh, they do a good job of introducing a solid variety of stuff to go about doing the run with. You start off with your standard AK, and as you do that, you unlock extra weapon or other weapons that you can replace that with to start your run out with.
Mhm.
That's that one, or whatever you take in with you is designated as your primary weapon, and its ammo is infinite. You'll have to reload, but you'll always have ammo. You get secondary weapons that usually hit harder or do something else, all from like the same kind of subclasses of rifle, shotgun, sniper rifle, laser beams, etc. And those have the potential to be, even stronger as you go along more. You pick up like gems and other currency. You can go talk to this cat that'll be like, here's some guns, and it'll be put into the rotation for you to find in the weapon chests as you're doing your runs.
Hmm.
I gravitated most towards the shotguns, mostly because very early on the cat was selling like the Doom shotgun. And I was like, oh, it's a legendary weapon too? Very cool. I'll take that. And then I just really didn't buy much more because why dilute the pool? And that's what I ended up eventually beating the game with. Um, Aside from that, they've got the typical, like, you'll get the power up ability kind of rooms where you go in. A lot of it will be like leave a trail of fire or goo, etc. There were a few of those. There's a bunch of HP up kind of little ability cards you can get. There's some that give you shields. Um, but yeah, a lot of that's present there. There's generic like health upgrades as well that you can get. There's a shop. The kind of roguelike standard things there. I wouldn't say it's as in depth gameplay wise as something like Hades or Returnal, but hey, if those mechanically are a little overwhelming for you, this might be a little easier to get into.
Mhm.
You can pick up baby axolotls as well. That basically you can.
Can you use the correct term, please, Hunter? It's called an Ak-Xolotl. Can we
I
use
was
the
getting
correct
there.
term, please? I was gonna.
Yeah,
I feel like there should be some kind of integrity in terms of reviewing Hunter. I feel like we've been through this before. I feel like you should use the correct term. Thank you.
yeah. But anyway, the axolotls serve as like a cosmetic switch up where they'll be like printed differently, like and just
Yeah.
straight up ripped from other animals too. Like there's a corgi.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, or just other such things like that. And on top of being cosmetic switch up, you have to do these little rudimentary Tamagotchi tasks to nurture them and then feed them once to make them grow all the way. When you feed them, you can depending on what you feed them, it'll adjust what their little passive ability thing is that you get. There's like things on recharge there where like one of them's you can re-roll the abilities if you don't like what's in your options when you get one of those, or ones you can if you stand still for a little bit you can heal
Hmm.
every once in a while. Or there's another one where it's like, you can have a weapon chest drop in for you whenever you want, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And aside from that, there's a very there's like a permanent upgrade thing you can go and do, and there aren't really that many. it just kind of is like standard damage upgrades and quicker reload time and stuff. There wasn't that much, and honestly, it didn't feel like it made that. The only one that felt like it made that big of a difference was you could buy like a healing room for each area, and that kind of helped. But the rest of them felt like I was just kind of doing because they were there as far as the upgrades to take.
No, fair enough.
And yeah, I think that about covers it. The writing is very charming. Just its whole sense of personality there was great. Like like there's a little intro movie that has it's like if an Animal Planet thing was narrated by the dude who did the Stanley Parable. I don't think it's actually the dude who did the Stanley Parable, but it's like the same kind of vibe where it's very sarcastically divulging the information about the Ak-Xolotls to you. And from there, just like the general, a lot of the item descriptions and stuff are very tongue-in-cheek. Like a lot of referential stuff too. Like one of the bosses is like a snake, and they have a little sound effect right before they pop out of the ground that's like similar to the Metal Gear Solid alert beep. I was like, oh, nice. I appreciate that. And it's a bunch of charming stuff like that. It goes a decent way of setting this game apart.
No, fair enough. Yeah, I just all I remember is because I saw this in the trophy list because one of the trophies is called DMCA and one of the bosses is called Hello Kitty, but with Hell apostrophe O Kitty. So it's like, that's, there's some cute writing. But yeah, I don't know. Like I say, it's a very cute and it's very charming looking. Like I say, I think the most of the things I've seen about it is that it's a bit easy. It's a bit simple, I guess is the word that I should probably.
I mean, to be fair, the last two areas, they start getting. The last two areas are a bit more challenging, where sometimes not necessarily in the best ways. There was one enemy that I feel like it had. I felt like I was taking damage that I wasn't really able to detect where it was coming from. Like I stepped on an invisible trap or something, or whatnot, which might have just been like a glitch that kept happening and could be patched out. But here and there. But eventually I made it through. Beat the final boss on my first try.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, would you recommend it from what you played so far?
I sure would. It is enjoyable, and it's only like $20.
Yeah. Cool. And check it out if you're interested in it. If you're like your little roguelite, I don't know. If you like Gungeon, if you like stuff like that, this is probably up your alley. So go check that out, I guess. And thank you for the review copy as well.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. Thank you. Let's move on because we've got so much to talk about. What's next? What's next on the list, Kyle? What's next?
I think it's Baldur's Gate.
Oh, joy. I love RPGs. I love fantasy. I love Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, dude, this is all your favorite things.
I love board games. I love everything. I'm a big fan.
Big fan.
This game, along with everybody else, along with the entire games industry, along with Phil Spencer himself, no one believed in this game, yet it's the little game that could. Game of the Year contender for many. A game that came out of nowhere, Baldur's Gate 3. You decide, you bit into the FOMO, Kyle. You saw it released on PS5, and you were like, I need to try it.
I was curious.
So how much time have you put into Baldur's Gate 3?
I put in about 20 hours.
Okay.
22 hours.
Now, if you're new here, guys, if you're newer to the podcast, 20 hours is an interesting number because I don't know if you've ever noticed, Hunter, 20 hours can mean anything in Kyle terms. 20 hours could mean that he's really liked it. 20 hours is also a lot of the time a cutoff point for Kyle. So let's find out, guys. Kyle, this is 20 hours is genuinely like I would put a good guess that you put a lot like 20 hours into most games that you've quit on as well. So it's
unless they're over before.
You know what?
Yeah.
You're right.
Like Ghost of Tsushima, I feel like you probably put like 20 hours max in. That's not like no more.
That's fair.
I feel like that's your cutoff point.
I put less than 20 hours into Horizon though.
I was
pretty unsold on that one pretty quickly.
Yeah. Anyway, 20 hours, Kyle. What is your opinion on Baldur's Gate 3?
So, in 20 hours, that
Yep.
is how long it took for me to get out of the first map of the
The
video
fuck.
game.
Rad.
Yeah.
Oh god.
To hit the next map of story progression, it was 20 hours. Now, granted, a lot of that was doing side quests and stuff like that,
Okay.
but I also haven't played the game again since getting to the second map because I'm like, I
That was a
enjoyed
lot of
this game.
people's experience with The Witcher.
I want to open this by saying I did enjoy my time with Baldur's Gate 3. I think this game is fantastic, but I also think that it's a very difficult game for me to recommend to anyone who either isn't super into RPGs or has never someone who's never played any tabletop Dungeons and Dragons like games before.
Eh,
Because this is just a very nerdy numbers based not even JRPG, just a regular RPG. Sorry. JRPG, it's brain autofill. Just a
Yeah.
regular RPG. It's
Yeah.
very nerdy, very number heavy, very nerdy
I mean,
into the nitty gritty of things.
You're
as
rolling
far as
die,
its general like rolling the dice D&D nonsense goes, I feel like a lot of other games still do that. They don't present it like
Yeah.
Dragon Age, for example. I had to my character had to inherit stats that had to pass checks all the time. It's just you don't have a dice rolling it. It's just if
Right.
it worked or not. It happens sometimes.
well, you have
Happens
systems like that in
doesn't
general,
happen.
like in
Yeah,
like
yeah.
persuasion or checks and stuff like that. Like you'll have those in
Mhm.
Bethesda RPGs all the time where you have to try and convince somebody, and you have stuff that's like got a higher chance of succeeding, lower chance, and you just have a pass or fail skill check kind of thing. Games have them. It's just a lot of them try and
They try and
simplify it at
mask
least
it.
visually for the player so that they don't have to constantly think about it. And I mean, the thing about D&D for me that has never really worked is, at least for me, is obviously you're talking to me. I have a short attention span, so someone is
Yeah.
like, I was playing a board game with some friends earlier this week, and I actually had a good time. But it was mainly because it was pretty simple to understand, and once everything kind of was moving, I was like, okay, I understand it now. But when you first lay it on me, and there's like, here's the rule set, here's all this stuff, here's 20 million things that can possibly happen. And I'm like, oh, fucking make it stop. It hasn't started yet, and I don't want to be a part of this, right? And I feel like for D&D,
Yeah.
it's very much, it depends on who you're with, right? If you have a good dungeon master, if you have a good kind of group to do it with, I'm sure it's great. But for a
Mhm.
lot of people, they'd like to think they have it. They probably don't. Like, not everybody is a Matthew Mercer. Not everybody is a great storyteller, right? And
Right.
so to have something like Baldur's Gate 3 where it very much is that experience where you've got a good story, I feel like it's like this is the best chance. If you're gonna like something like a tabletop RPG, this is your best chance, right? You've got this story, you've got the gameplay. You've just got to get over those hurdles. And I feel like that's gonna
Mhm.
be the biggest kind of like teething point for a lot of people, and mainly console people when I think about this, because PC players, you're another breed. You can deal with anything, right? I feel
An
like
entire
you
mutation of nerds PC players are.
you can boot up games on Steam and figure out if your PC will run it well with whatever bullshit specs that are put on there by a developer, which I don't have time for, right? You'll be fine. But for console people, we've got some skill issues, okay? We're gonna run into problems. So I feel like that's gonna be the biggest gripe with this game is, can you click with its systems or not? Because I feel like if you can, you're gonna have a brilliant time. If you don't,
Mhm.
you're gonna have a problem and you're just gonna not click with it. How are you feeling as a whole on it? As you say, you've done the first area. It's a very long game. That also doesn't help. It's like 100 hours
Right.
long. Coming from the
Yeah.
Persona fan, but it's 100 hours long. You've got to be into it if you want to commit that amount of time into a video game, right? So how are you
Uh,
feeling?
I mean, I was enjoying my time with it,
Hmm.
but I don't know. I don't know if it was just burnout from coming home from work and playing it every day and just getting tired, but I
Yeah.
mean, the game is fun. I think the combat can be a bit tricky to get a handle on sometimes,
Mm.
figuring out how you can position all four of your party members into a way that makes sense,
Yeah.
so that you're not getting mollywopped by enemies constantly.
Mm.
Um, it's it's kind of like I don't know if that's a good comparison. I was gonna say kind of like a just like a regular strategy RPG,
Mm.
but less clear on where the danger zones are.
Yeah. Fair enough. Um. So, how is the story? How are you finding the story? Is it like you say? I assume it's very typical fantasy.
Oh, it starts with some gross eyeball stuff.
Oh, good.
Oh
I love
yeah.
a bit of Lovecraftian
I've heard
random
about the
shite
opening of this game, and I'm like,
thrown in.
very intriguing.
You get a brain worm shoved into your eyeball by a tentacle man.
Oh, good. Resident
Sick.
Evil. You can't escape. Um.
So if you're not a fan of eyeball stuff, this might not be the game for you.
I
Ethan,
want to
you've played
find who's a
Somnium
fan of
Files. You
eyeball
can
stuff. That's what I want to know. And I'm like, hey, I'm not
the
one to shame,
developers
but
of Somnium
Look,
Files.
look at
Yeah,
who's on
true.
the right side of the screen.
True.
I wouldn't say I'm a fan. It just doesn't scare me.
It
It doesn't
it
scare me
grosses
either. It doesn't
me
mean I
out.
don't like it. Like, it doesn't mean I like it though. I'm like, I can
There are
do
certain
without
things
it.
that just make me feel uncomfortable, Hunter. And one
It's
of
like we
those
were talking
things is
about.
is things going into an eyeball.
Oh, I hate it. I hate
Not a
it. What is
fan.
like, like it just in general. It's like speaking of things I'll never
Just
finish.
unpleasant.
Things I'll never finish. Right, Cowboy Bebop. Right, the fucking eye thing. Like in the first episode, the red
Oh
mist
yeah.
shit. Yeah, nah, mate.
Oh
Even in
yeah,
that, I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, grim. No,
Hmm.
anything to do with eyes, I'm just not a fan. But yeah, so you obviously you have your weird Lovecraftian nightmares, and then you move on to more of a general. All I know, I'm not gonna lie, right? I've heard whispers of Baldur's Gate 3. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but all I've heard about it is either this game's horny, this game's not horny enough, this game is like it's just like it's just like everybody's just like about the characters, which is a good thing for these kinds of games because it's the most important thing is having a party and just in general having really good characters because
Yeah.
that's what's going to pull you through it, right? It's why a lot of JRPGs either are like I feel like the difference between a good and bad RPG, it's JRPG a lot of the times is how bearable and good the cast is, right? I feel like you
Yeah,
can
it
you can
kind of
go
lives and
through
dies on that
yeah.
because
Yeah.
all of them, no matter what they are, tend to do the Act 3 exposition
Hi
silliness
ho,
at
it's
the
off to
end.
fight God we go, and then
Yeah,
yeah.
basically. So how much you're going to tolerate that is going to depend on how much you enjoy the characters.
Oh, 100%. And I feel like it's the same with this game where it's like, I don't want to say that the pace of the game is to a crawl, right? But it very much is a slow burn. You're very much living in
It
that world for a
is.
long period of time. You're gonna need some characters that you care about, especially if you're gonna have like 6 million romance options. You need to make sure one of them clicks.
Yeah.
Or 5 if you're literally Reddit. So,
Hmm.
take your pick, guys. I don't know, like I said, it's very hard for me to ask questions about this game because other than knowing it's very much D&D in video game form, that it's slightly horny, and that people like it. I don't know much about it. Hunter, do you have any questions?
Dude, honestly, I
Um,
don't think I could even tell you that much about it. The
You
story
played
hasn't
20
really
hours of it.
evolved much.
I don't
Yeah,
really
but
have
you finished
much
Act
in the
1,
way
right?
of.
Or was that
He
not
said
even
he
the end of
finished
Act 1? It's just
Area
a new
1.
map.
I
Yeah.
finished Area 1.
For fuck's
Yeah.
sake.
But
God.
yeah, I don't really have much in the way of questions. I haven't looked very deeply into it myself. I've just, from what I do know about it, it's something I want to get to at some point. And I've also
I feel like
I've
it's.
also seen the scene where you kick the squirrel into the tree and they explode. It's great.
I have not seen that. That's a
I haven't
spoiler.
either.
That's a spoiler. What the fuck, Hunter?
I don't know. It could potentially not happen for you, so it's not a spoiler
True.
for
may
your
not.
exact
True.
experience.
I don't know. It like I say, it's one of those games where obviously with something that's this highly regarded, I feel like it's one of those games where it's like I'm gonna have to try it eventually, even if I don't click with it. It's just one of those games. It might be an ocarina where I play it for 3 hours and go, yeah, this isn't my jam.
Hey, dude, I can
I'm gonna go play
it
something
to
else.
you.
Yeah, I don't know.
We have the beauty of share play. Can't do
Oh,
that
yeah.
in Ocarina.
Yet.
You know what's really funny? This is not got anything to do with Baldur's Gate at all. But my Nintendo Switch Online ran out, and I accidentally clicked the wrong button, so now I have the fucking stupid expansion pack.
my God.
Yeah, so now I have the stupid expansion pack. So I was like, I could give Ocarina of Time another chance now, and I'm like, no, I
No.
don't want that.
You have too much other stuff to do.
I do have too much
You
other
could
stuff to
also
do.
play Majora's Mask instead.
I could.
Yeah,
I could also
the
play
better one.
Banjo-Kazooie, which I never finished, that I started, like, I played half of it and never finished it. There's plenty of stuff I could do. I could now play Mario Party. Where's everybody else at? I could play Mario Party 3 online with myself. It's going to be great.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you can.
Mario Party 3's not on there.
Oh, sorry, Mario Party 2. Who cares? Humping Toad's on there. That's all I care about. Pirate Ship Toad, the Captain Toad. Let's go. The real Captain Toad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways, Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good ass video game. If you have the time for it, I would recommend it.
It's also only digital only at the moment, which I find bizarre.
Oh, it is digital
Really?
only.
Yeah, there's no physical copy of it
Huh.
as of right
I
now.
didn't know that.
That's also really annoying.
I only bought the digital out of convenience.
You're like,
Didn't realize that was my only choice.
Yep.
You're like, I don't want to wait. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, you're gonna have to wait now, isn't it?
By the time I actually get around to it, maybe it'll be physical. Who knows?
That Baldur's Gate 3 will be getting a physical edition. The only problem is you have to be in Japan to get your hands on it. So Japan got a physical copy.
It's like the
time to hit up
Ace Attorney
Asia.
trilogy isn't getting a physical copy outside of Japan. And the other one they did also didn't. But for some reason, the Great Ace Attorney did. I don't understand.
Well, let's be real.
Either.
I mean, we can have this conversation next week while Kyle isn't here until when we might potentially talk about the fun time Phil's been having in the past week as everything from the next 5 years of Xbox got leaked. But there's, especially with how Xbox is handling things, and obviously Nintendo is in their own little world, and Nintendo has its own little ecosystem where it can do whatever the fuck it wants. I am genuinely starting to believe this might be the last generation of physical media, period. So it's like, I feel like, especially for Xbox is fucking done. Like, they're done in next year. Next year, they're like, no more. No one buys physical games on Xbox.
Care about them.
Sad.
Yeah. But, I genuinely do think that this is the end. I think PS5 is it. I think PS6 will be digital only, and we're all going to have to result into the Kyle lifestyle of just, like, shrugging it off and downloading it from the PS Store instead of buying a piece of plastic and then copying it off the disc.
I've got a lot of my games physical this year.
Have
it's
you?
just sometimes I don't want to make the detour after work. Sometimes I just want to come home, Ethan.
Just do what I do. Pre-order it online, dude. That's what I do. I just have everything come to me, and I'm like, yes, I didn't even remember pre-ordering this. Fantastic. I luckily remembered to cancel Pikmin 1 and 2, because otherwise I'd be stuck here today with a copy of Pikmin 1 and 2 that I'll never use.
Why do you even do that? You don't care about
Because 2 months ago, I was like, Pikmin 4 came out, people liked it. I was like, you know what, Pikmin fans, I'll give you a chance. I'll pre-order the physical of 1 and 2 and play 1 and see if I like it. And then I was like, got back from vacation, I was like, I'm stupid, I don't want to play Pikmin. Why the fuck would I think that I wanted to try it? And then cancelled the pre-order.
This is like when you pre-ordered Forspoken, it arrived,
then sent it back
and then
the
you
day
sent
after.
it back immediately.
I remember they asked me, they were like, is there a reason that does it not work? Is that the reason you don't? I'm like, no, I just don't want this. Like, take it back.
Or that time you pre-ordered Pokemon Legends Arceus and you got a copy of Pokemon Sword instead.
That was just funny, to be honest. Like, it's fine.
Really
I got the copy of Legends Arceus. It was fine. It was like, yeah. It's all good fun.
That was a really funny video.
Yeah. But yeah, regardless, check Baldur's Gate out. It'll be fun, I'm sure. So, Hunter, take us home. We're going to finish it off with another indie game that you've been playing called Gunbrella that you've been on about fucking ever, I feel. So, put me out of my misery. Tell me all about Gunbrella.
Gunbrella. It's an action platforming game where the whole central mechanic is you've got this umbrella that's also a gun, as the title would suggest.
Of course.
Nice. I loved Kingsman.
Yeah. And It kind
What?
of
Great movie, Ethan.
it is a
I'm
solid
sure it
one.
is. Sorry. I'm
Go.
sure it
You
is.
should watch it.
But anyway, yeah, as far as it's just a nice little thing where it seems like they just got this idea, and instead of doing the thing where it's like, oh, we'll do 5, 6, 7 different things in this really tiny game, they just kind of thought of the different ways they could iterate on the central mechanic of what the Gunbrella does, as far as like, you can use it to block things, you can use it to zip line, and all of that. It was all centered around like doing dashes is real cool in this one because like depending on how you're aiming the gun before you dash, it you know, you can steer it in a neat way, which isn't really something you can do in other platformers with dashes where it's just kind of you pick the one direction and you're stuck that way. As far as that goes, uh, it's a very tongue-in-cheek kind of game too. Like the title screen does the little classic. It does like a old school Resident Evil title growl where it's like, and just the general writing is rather funny. Like there was one little side quest where it's like, oh, my friend got taken by this cult, free them or whatever, and then later when you later after you've raided the cult's base and killed the boss and whatnot, you free them, you free the friend in question from their cell, and inside of the cutscene they just get killed by like this eldritch monster
Oh.
as you start running away. I'm like, oh man, I thought I got them killed somehow myself, and I'm like, no, that was a cutscene that did that.
Mm.
As far as that goes, yeah, and in general, it's just a fun time. Everything works how I would be expecting it to. I haven't really dealt with any weirdness as far as like, oh, why'd I try to do this or where'd I take damage from? All of that makes sense. The boss battles that are present are straightforward. Most of them have eyeballs that you can shoot. And just dodge the attacks when you're not shooting.
So I assume that it's lived up to every possible dream and everything that you've ever lived up. It's lived up to your expectations. You've been, because like I say, this game has been like, I remember
It got
literally,
announced
it was like
last year.
January.
It was in the
last year.
draft.
Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah, it got announced last year. I might not have mentioned it to you guys at all until the draft. But
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is like a 9-month like epic. With like it's finally here. This is your most anticipated game of the year, Hunter. Obviously, so it's like
obviously,
Yeah.
obviously.
only because I didn't know about Dave the Diver until a few months ago.
No other games this year. No other games.
Nothing else important.
But
no.
yeah, I've been enjoying it. It's relatively short. I feel like I'm close to the end already, and I've only played it for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours. But
Fair
yeah,
enough.
in general, recommend it. It's cool.
Cool. And you know what?
Nice.
We'll leave it at that. So there you go. We've covered so many games today. But yeah, we'll leave it at that for now because my gosh, my allergies are like ridiculous right now. I apologize if in the second half you're like, if you mute, like, what are you doing, like on the video version? My allergies have just like started acting up, and I don't know why. So
Man's got the sneezes.
I have got the sneezes and the sniffles, and it's pretty grim, especially when you're in a podcast environment. So it's great. But oh well, we made it through. I've just got to warm myself back up. That's all. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're fine. It's great. It's great. Maybe next week I'll actually have played a video game. Let's find out.
Or you'll have spent all your time reading Phil Spencer's emails.
Oh, fucking hell, dude. Like, yeah. Joke's on you. I already had the emails, dude. Who'd you think you were sending them to, Kyle? Who'd you think you were sending them to? Like, yeah.
He was asking you to buy Nintendo?
I'm the mole.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Legally, that's a
God.
joke.
Yeah, legally, that is a joke. And also, legally, when I do infiltrate Nintendo and buy all the stocks for Microsoft, I also will be bringing back the buggy in Mario Kart, Mario Party. We will be all back in a buggy, or we'll all be driving in a car again, all in one, in unison.
Aww.
Yeah, well,
Why are you bringing back bad Mario Party?
because you deserve it.
No.
They
You
didn't
at least
release.
burn the bad Paper Marios.
No, we're going back to that design. Actually, we feel like it works
Oh.
better with the youth these days.
No.
The youth these days.
You know, yeah. Don't worry, guys. Though we'll remake all of you. We'll remake Sticker Star next. It's fine. We'll remake it.
You just skip over the other one. That's harsh.
Why not? We skipped over the first one.
The first one's available on the thing, though.
Dude,
Doesn't-
you
it's
can
not-
play that now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not stopped them before, Hunter. By that logic, like, never stopped them from remaking something in the past. What are you on about? They'll just Nintendo remakes what Nintendo wants to remake, dude. They'll do whatever they want. By that
Yeah.
logic, they never would have made Mario the fucking limited edition 1-year run of Mario 3D All Stars because they were planning on putting 64 on the servers, you know, and it wasn't even
Yeah.
the same port. They were 2 different ports. Like, you know, don't trust
That is
Nintendo. Anyway, let's wrap it up because, like I say, my nose is really snotty, so all links are on screen right now. You can follow us on podcast services or keep up to date with what we do outside of the podcast. YouTube.com/hotgames. Only look at our stupid faces each and every week, you know, all that jazz. Reviews coming soon. This week we have our review of Ak-Xolotl coming out. Next week we will have our review of Starfield coming out, and then pedal to the metal as we get to Assassin's Creed. I say pedal to the metal. I know I'm covering Assassin's Creed. I'm pretty sure I'm covering Spider-Man. I think Hunter's covering Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
Kyle, you covering anything?
Not at the moment.
Cool. You
I'm not-
live that life. You live that life. You just live that life.
I'm
He's
not planning to get
chronicling-
Mario.
He's chronicling his experience of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
It's fine. He can do the remake of what's it called? The
Mario
other Mario
RPG.
one, not Paper Mario. That's the one. The one
Yeah.
with Gino, the guy from Smash that isn't in Smash. You know what I'm talking about. The guy that'll never be in Smash. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. It's fine.
The me costume.
The meat costume, exactly. We've got so many games coming out, so yeah, be sure to check all the reviews out as they show up. There might be some more stuff happening soon as well. We'll see. Gotta try and fit it all in. We've got 6 million games to play and review, so we'll see. We've got some stuff planned. But anyway, we'll leave it there for today. Join us next week as me and Hunter have a calm before the storm. I guess we'll just hang out. Maybe we'll talk about Phil Spencer's leaked emails. Maybe we will talk. Who
Maybe.
knows what we'll talk about? It'll be old news by that.
We could bully Unity because you were gone while that happened.
Oh yeah, we can cover all the old news stories that no one will want to listen to 3 weeks later. It'll be great. It'll be a great episode. It'll be one for the true fans as we sit here and talk about irrelevant stuff. Because why not?
I mean, we can do all that. We just need one thing to draw in the people.
You know, you've got a great point, and it can be the first 5 minutes. It'll be fine. We'll work it out.
Yeah.
Who knows what we'll talk about? We'll find out next week, I guess. Same time, same place as always. But until then, have an awesome week. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.